Good morning, everyone. Nice to be back here in Los Angeles, as always. And this time I brought my own cheering section. My wife, my son, my daughter, my son's girlfriend, and my friends, Joey and Doris. Thanks for coming. They know which parts when to laugh and which parts when to cry. Well, today we are observing Tanjo-e, which, as you know, it comes from the Japanese word tanjobi, which is birthday, right? And we're observing Shinran Shonin's birth. And Shinran Shonin is up there on the right side. You see his image on the scroll. And he is considered the founder of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism, which is the tradition that we follow. And usually for Tanjo-e services, I talk about the life of Shinran Shonin. But today, I'd like to focus on Hatsumairi. And Hatsu in Japanese means first, and mairi means visiting the temple. In this case, it means bringing a baby or a child to the temple for the first time. Now, you know, in Japan, the most popular tradition for babies is that families bring newborns to a Shinto shrine for the first time. And they pose and they take a picture with the baby, much like we did today, except there's a Shinto shrine with the big gate behind it. But by doing this, parents hope that their child will be blessed with good luck and good fortune throughout their lives. But what does it mean for a child to be brought to a Buddhist temple for the first time? There's a saying that goes, Japanese people are born Shinto, get married as Christians, and die as Buddhists. Babies are brought to shrines to be blessed. Young Japanese couples like the image in the West of getting married in a church with the bride wearing a white wedding gown. And funerals are traditionally held at Buddhist temples. Although these days that trend is declining. You know, there are non-denominational, non-religious memorial centers now that cater to people where you can have a funeral. And unfortunately, a lot of people are choosing that option instead of having funerals at Buddhist temples. Even in this country, we see the trend towards having a celebration of life for someone who has passed away, because funerals are considered too depressing and too dark, and they like to have something that's more positive. But that's unfortunate, in my opinion, because I feel that's a lost opportunity to really make sense of life and trying to get a better understanding of the meaning of death. In this country, what do you think the big tradition is that we like to follow? Does anyone have any guesses? Any guesses? This is easy. It's easy. Top of mind, right? I would say celebrating birthdays is our big, important tradition that we don't like to miss, that we like to observe, right? After all, birthdays are very festive occasions, and they're fun for young and old alike. If we don't do it, we feel something is missing, don't we? I remember once, before I was married, I was traveling and in some strange city on my birthday. And I woke up that day And I thought to myself, hey, where's my birthday cake? We like birthdays because they're happy occasions, especially for kids. We celebrate a new life coming into this world and all of the possibilities that it holds for the future. What wonderful things will this child experience? What will they accomplish? And what kind of person will they become? The future lays ahead of them. In Buddhism, funerals and memorials are important observances. Now, when you think about it, they are a lot different than birthdays. In birthdays, we are looking forward. Whereas a funeral, we are looking backwards at a person's life. That person's life has ended, and now we can see the entirety of that life. What kind of person what kind of life did they live? What kinds of things did they do? And what was our relationship with them? But really, both birthdays and funerals are shaped by our own desires, our own expectations, right? Our own biases. We judge a life based on these views of what we think are good and bad, such as what did they achieve? How successful were they? What kinds of failures and disappointments did they face? And based on these measures, we wonder, what kind of life did they have? But really, we make these judgments based on our own expectations and desires. Many years ago, and some of you may know this minister, I remember the former bishop of the Buddhist Churches of America, Reverend Koshin Ogui. And at one time, he was the minister of the San Francisco Buddhist Temple. When I was young, I remember him telling this story. He said that once as a child, in frustration, he confronted his father, and he blamed him for the shortcomings in his life. He said, "It's no thanks to you. I wish I were taller, better looking, and smarter." His dad replied, "I too wanted such a son, but then you were born." The Buddha also talked about birth. In the Nirvana Sutra, he told this story. And you know, I like to use props for my stories, so I brought a couple here. Turtle, sorry, it might be hard to see. Turtle. And then this ring. So let's call this a piece of wood in the shape of a ring, okay? And this story comes from the Nirvana Sutra. Once upon a time, there was a turtle. And you know, turtles, they could live a very long time, hundreds of years. So this turtle was swimming in the vast ocean. Imagine, in the Pacific, by itself. And this turtle only swam to the surface once every 100 years, and then went down into the deep sea, right? And at the same time, floating on the surface was this wooden ring. It was floating in the vast ocean. Imagine, in the Pacific. And here was this turtle. This turtle was very old. Oh, and did I mention this turtle was blind? So this turtle is swimming in the ocean, and this piece of wood is floating, floating, floating. And one day, the turtle swam up to the surface. And lo and behold, right when the turtle reached the surface and poked his head up, went right through the center of the ring. Now, why did the Buddha tell this story? What are the chances of this happening? The odds are impossible to imagine. In telling this story, the Buddha was explaining the difficulty of birth. You know, I like to tell the story of my firstborn's birth. And it was actually a very difficult birth. We didn't know it at the time, and I was in the delivery room at the time, but all of a sudden, a team of doctors, there was the delivery doctor and a couple of nurses, but then all of a sudden another doctor rushed in and another team of nurses, and they somehow manipulated this baby to come out and finally popped its head out. And lo and behold, my son was born. But it was the most amazing thing that I've ever seen and experienced, I felt, in my life. And it was very meaningful. And, you know, my daughter is here, and I'd like to say your birth was meaningful, too. But if you think about it, well, I'm told that science tells us there could be as many as 500 million sperm, and only one makes it to the egg. So that in itself is amazing enough, but the same thing had to happen to our fathers, our mothers, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our great-grandparents, and so on and so forth for countless generations. Not to mention that each of those lives had to survive and not suffer from starvation, fire, being eaten by wild animals, war, disease, accident, and so forth. All of these events, causes, and conditions in Buddhism we call karma. Understanding this great truth about our life, about our birth, is, I believe, one of the most important realizations that we can have. Knowing this truth changes how we view our lives, not as something that needs to be shaped and fulfilled by our earthly desires and our material wants, but rather as something that by itself inherently is highly valued and is to be cherished. You see, just by being born, you have already won the lottery. This life is a gift given to us by all of the causes and conditions of the great universe itself. This life has taken shape through our connections with our family, with our friends, with our community, with the world at large. This realization affects our view of the world, who we are, and what we do in life. Without this understanding, we spend our lives chasing after our selfish desires in hopes of gaining enough possessions, enough status, enough wealth, enough health, enough love. Our desires are endless, which means we can never reach that place called true happiness in this way. Not to mention that the world and society is also sending us messages that we are not good enough, that we must prove ourselves, that we must have wealth and status and possessions to have a life of value. In realizing now the preciousness and value of our own life, we understand and appreciate the preciousness of others. We work to help others and help make this world a better place. What better hope can we give to our children? This is the message the Buddha has given to us. This morning, we recited the three treasures, and the beginning goes like this. Difficult is it to receive life in human form. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma. Now we hear it. If we do not receive awakening in the present life, then in what life can we hope to appreciate this life, right? And understand this great truth? Shinran Shonin came to understand this truth. He felt that despite his shortcomings, that despite being a bombu, a person full of selfishness, ego, foolish thoughts, and ignorance, he nevertheless was embraced by the power of infinite wisdom and compassion. He wrote, "Though I cannot see the light that enfolds me because my eyes are blinded by self-centered desires, the heart of true compassion tirelessly shines on my life." In this temple, at this place, this is where we can hear this message. This is where we can understand this truth we call the Buddha Dharma. This understanding, this wisdom, gives us an inner strength that helps us weather the storm of life's difficulties. And there are many difficulties in life that one encounters. There's heartbreak, there's disappointment, sadness, fear, and loneliness. More than wealth, more than status, more than possessions, this wisdom is the greatest strength enabling us to rise above life's suffering. It is the strongest foundation that we can build our lives upon. By bringing our children to the temple, where we are helping them understand this truth, we are showing them that here, in this place, you can hear the Dharma. We are giving them the greatest gift of all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.